Hello friends, welcome to Technique. This is Nirmal here and you're watching the detailed camera review of the new smartphone from Moto, the Moto One Fusion Plus launched recently. The new Fusion Plus comes with a quad camera setup with a 64 megapixel primary camera and also a 16 megapixel selfie camera. So let's dive deep into the camera to see how it performs in the segment. If this is your first time here, do hit that red subscribe button and also hit that bell icon to get notified of all the videos we publish. Now coming back to the review, let's first have a look at the hardware offered. In terms of the camera hardware, the Fusion Plus packs a quad camera setup with a 64 megapixel primary camera with f1.8 aperture and Samsung's GW1 sensor. You also get an 8 megapixel ultra-wide angle lens, 5 megapixel macro sensor, and there is also a 2 megapixel depth sensor along with an LED flash included. There is also electronic image stabilization offered for the primary camera. Now the front camera is a 16 megapixel pop-up selfie camera with f2.2 aperture. So let's find out how the camera performs. First, let's have a look at the video quality. The phone can shoot 4K videos in 30 fps and the quality looks good for the price segment. The details are good and the colors are also reproduced nicely. But there is no 4K 60 fps option included. The 4K video does not offer stabilization, and this is where the 1080p resolution at 30 fps is useful. The 1080p resolution also looks decent and supports both 30 and 60 fps. While the colors and details are good, we felt that the video quality was a bit over sharpened, and this can be easily fixed with the software processing. The phone also supports macro video, and the 5 megapixel sensor can take some really good macro videos in 1080p resolution. The phone can also record slow motion videos in 120 fps and 240 fps, and it has come quite good. Now moving on to the photos. The daylight shots taken with the 64 megapixel camera came out well. The color reproduction is good and the sharpness levels are also good. Moto has been pretty good with their cameras in this segment, and even the Moto G8 Plus had a good camera. There is no saturation issues and overall clarity looks great. There is good amount of details even when you zoom into the pictures. There is also a dedicated 64 megapixel mode which takes images in higher resolution. There is also auto HDR mode available, and this is the best option to go with. Overall, the Moto One Fusion Plus delivers good images in daylight conditions. The 8 megapixel ultra wide angle shots came pretty decent. While the colors are good, there is a lot of softening happening at the edges which results in blurry shots. While it is not as good as the primary camera, it is still usable. The close-up shots taken with the camera was good, and it has good details and great sharpness levels. Once again, the color reproduction is good and it does not saturate colors unlike many other phones in this segment. The focusing speed is also quite good, and we did not have any sort of issues here. The phone has a 5 megapixel macro sensor, and this is probably one of the good macro cameras available in this price segment. It gives good details and sharp photos. Now moving on to the portrait shots. We felt that the portraits are quite okay with the Moto One Fusion Plus. The skin tones are good and the sharpness levels are quite acceptable. The edge direction is once again decent, if not the best. Next, moving on to the low light captures. With f1.8 aperture, the phone can take some good images in artificial light condition. In extremely low light conditions, you can see noise creeping in and details do get lost sometimes. But in such cases, it is better to go with the night mode, which does a good job in bringing up details. Overall, the low light performance is quite decent on the Moto One Fusion Plus. Moving on to the selfie camera. The 16 megapixel shooter can take some good selfies with good details and sharpness levels. The dynamic range is also good. The skin tones are also good, and there is no artificial whitening in selfies which we liked here. The low light selfie performance is also good, And since selfies are more of a personal choice, you can judge based on the clarity. The phone also comes with portrait mode, and here again the edge detection is quite average. And it does give a bit of an artificial effect even though you can adjust the aperture values. This is the front facing camera sample taken with the Moto One Fusion Plus. It can record videos in 1080p resolution, so you can judge yourself how good the clarity of the video is and also the audio output from the front camera on the Moto One Fusion Plus. So summing up, how good is the Moto One Fusion Plus performance in terms of the camera? The Fusion Plus camera is definitely a good one in the segment with good daylight shots, macros, selfies and also portraits. The macro video is also really good. It needs a bit more fine tuning in the low light performance and also in the video quality. So what do you guys think about the camera on the Moto One Fusion Plus? Do share in your thoughts in the comment section. This is Nirmal signing off with a camera review of the Moto One Fusion Plus. This is Nirmal signing off with a camera review of the Moto One Fusion Plus. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.